Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Okay, so as many of you already know, I have been sharing with a lot of us so much on what is going on between Hamas and Israel in Gaza. I've shared quite a bunch with us. And today, because of something that someone sent to me, I felt like I needed to emphasize a little bit more on the prophetic dimension to Benjamin Netanyahu's involvement in all of this. Yeah? I've already played that video a bunch of times in the past. I played the video of where the rabbi, if you can remember, the rabbi that was telling him, no, you need to make it quick and make the Messiah come quickly, stuff like that. It's called the Rebbe. So I played that video for us a few times. But what I'm about to show you now is the part of the history of Benjamin Netanyahu's involvement that a lot of people do not know. I am telling you, like a lot of people who are even watching this video right now do not know what I'm about to show you. I want you to see how Benjamin Netanyahu was prophetically projected into the role he is playing today in the Israeli-Hamas war in Gaza. He didn't just stumble on this role. There was a prophecy that placed him there, and it was by this Rabbi. It wasn't just what I was playing to you before. It is so much more. And with this, you will be able to get a clear picture of where we are headed, and maybe after watching this video I can help you to connect a few more dots that will probably keep you alerted and keep you on standby for what more is to come. Take a look.
For over 40 years, the charismatic Rebbe led the movement. His $1 donations, including to Netanyahu, came with a blessing to his followers and a reminder to give to those less fortunate. A couple of years after this meeting, the Rebbe reportedly told a young Netanyahu that he would one day become Prime Minister of Israel and would be the nation's last leader before handing the scepter to the Messiah. This first part of the Rebbe's prediction came true in 1996, when a 47-year-old Benjamin Netanyahu became Prime Minister for the first time. But his government fell just 3 years later. For a while, Netanyahu withdrew from politics. The Rebbe's words faded into history until a decade later, Netanyahu became Prime Minister for a second time.
העם רוצה שינוי. העם רוצה ללכת בדרך אחרת. הדרך שלנו ניצחה. היא הדרך שתוביל את העם.
Netanyahu's second premiership lasted for over 12 years, until he was eventually ousted by his political opponents. Another setback for anyone who believed in the Rebbe's messianic prophecy. But Netanyahu was back just a few months later, forming a coalition with ultra-Orthodox and religious Zionist parties. He began his third premiership almost exactly a year ago. And it's been a tumultuous year. His hardline government has massively accelerated the construction of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, considered illegal under international law. It's also provoked massive protests by attempting to grab more power for itself at the expense of other branches of government. The protests threatened to bring down Netanyahu's government. But then, on October 7th, everything changed.
Okay, so you heard that very clearly. The Rebbe told Benjamin Netanyahu, you are someday going to be the Prime Minister of Israel. And you will be the last leader of the Jewish nation before handing the scepter of leadership over to who? To the Moshiach or Messiah. Can you imagine that? This guy prophesied this to him before he became the prime minister. And by 1996, he became a prime minister as the man spoke. Suddenly, 3 years later in 99, that journey ended, and everybody was like, oh, but Rebbe said he's going to become the last leader of Israel. What then happened? And for 10 years, nothing happened. But 10 years after, in 2009, he became prime minister again. And this time around for 12 years. But then 2021, he was ousted. And everybody was like, okay, we thought that prophecy was coming to pass, so it's not going to happen after all. And then shortly after he left in 21, just less than 1 year after in 2022, this guy showed back up again as the prime minister of Israel. It sounds almost like what you read in the Bible. He showed up again. And this time when he showed up, it wasn't without issues because he was about to be ousted again. Protests were all over the place. They had protests all over Israel. Everybody was sure Netanyahu was about to go. And suddenly there was October 7th, 2023 when Hamas struck. And Netanyahu bounced back again. And right now, the guy is literally entrenched because no protests, no election. In fact, there won't be any election in Israel as long as Israel is in the state of war. And there's no amount of protest you make now that is going to make a dent on his leadership. Because the guy is back, and I dare say this time around that prophecy is about to be fulfilled. And if that prophecy is about to be fulfilled, who is the Messiah that he is handing the scepter over? This is where we need to pay very close attention. I have said this in previous videos. The Jewish people, the Jewish nation does not believe in the Yeshua of your Bible if you are a Christian. They don't believe in him. And for us, whenever we hear that the Messiah is coming back or the second coming of Christ, we are talking about the Messiah of the Bible. This is almost sounding like he is the one that is coming to rule in Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu is the one to hand the scepter over to him, but he's not going to be the one. It's a different Messiah. And for us Christians, we believe this Messiah is going to hand over to, is going to be the Antichrist. And if he's the Antichrist, what does that mean to you as a Christian? It simply means that that will mark the beginning of the tribulation period for Christians. You understand what is going on here? So, the temple is supposed to be built. The Messiah is supposed to rule from the temple. You remember what the Bible says about the abomination that causes desolation when the one who is not supposed to be in the temple is the one who sits in the temple. Remember all of that? Now, what you are going to witness is a situation where this figure shows up and the whole of the Jewish nation turns to him, and everybody is swayed thinking this is the one, and we all follow him. And he has the temple to be established because the Wailing Wall is the only piece that is left of the second Jerusalem temple. That's why the Jews are praying every day to build the third temple. But the third temple cannot be built because the ground on which it is supposed to be built has a structure, noun on it. That structure is called the Al-Aqsa Mosque. You've heard me say this 1,001 times. The Dome of the Rock is sitting on that spot, and the Jewish nation cannot turn either to the left or right to build a temple anywhere other than their particular spot, because they believe that is the spot that God told David to build him a house. That's why the first temple stood there. The second one stood there. The third one, they believe, must stand there as well. And of course, I've shared with us in previous videos that cosmic event that took place in Israel one time when something that looked like a UFO showed up over the skies of Israel. And when it stopped for a while, it moved and moved and moved and moved. The whole world was watching, and it went to the point over the Dome of the Rock, which is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It stood over there for a brief moment, and then boom, it shot up into the sky. And those who have knowledge of the situation came to say that this is God or Messiah saying to the children of Israel, you must not build the third temple on any other ground except for the same ground on which the Al-Aqsa Mosque stands today. And keep in mind that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is about the second or third holiest site in all of Islam. I have said this several times. And no matter what anyone does or thinks, the moment the mosque is touched, even people, even nations in Arab world that never thought they would have anything to do with Israel might get enraged, probably get involved. And there's going to be some type of religious war that would ensue after that. Monster chaos in our world. It's no-brainer. That's clear no-brainer. Everybody knows this is a huge possibility. And when that happens, the so-called man of peace, the one we believe Netanyahu is going to hand over the scepter to, will then take over and want to bring peace to our world. I remember the other video I did as well. I was telling us how that the guys from the Temple Institute have come out to say several times in the past that everything that is needed for the third temple to be constructed is now available, including the red heifer for the sacrifice. Is now here. They have everything. Nothing is lacking. All they need now is the land to build the temple. And I tell you that this war is eventually going to take them to that place. That's what I see. But let's connect a few dots. Remember the last video I made? We talked about how that there is plan for some type of fake rapture, hologramic appearance of alien creatures in the atmosphere. And there will be some type of alien abductions that will take place. And people will say, oh, rapture is taking place. But that wouldn't be rapture. Now, if you juxtapose that with this one now, a situation where you're going to have the Messiah that is not really the Messiah we are expecting show up in Israel, and the whole world follows this Messiah, and then rapture has taken place. It's almost like taking the book of Revelations and acting it like a play and making it look so real that the world is deceived into believing that this make-believe is reality. So these two events are not going to be unconnected. As this one is happening, the other one is going to be following it. And look at what time it is in this year. Already we have gone so far. As Netanyahu is hitting Rafah, you don't think there's going to be some possibility of making some mistake of crossing over to the other side. There's a lot of escalation that is expected in no time until they end up at the place where you have Al-Aqsa Mosque. And that mosque comes down. The world is set on edge. And then the man of peace shows up. And then there's going to be rapture and all of these things happening. And if you're not a child of God, if you don't have the Spirit of God in you, you're going to believe that it is end time. Don't get me wrong, we're already living in the end times. As a matter of fact, that's why all of these are happening and are going to happen. But the actual events the Bible spoke of in the scriptures is not exactly what you're about to witness. I'm sounding this as a note of warning to so many people. Go watch my previous videos so you can get understanding. It's not it. When it happens, do not believe that Christ, the real Yeshua, has come. When the other one happened, do not believe that real rapture has taken place. It's all a deception. It only means that we have just been ushered, that we have just ushered the season, the era, the time, the period of tribulation into our world. And that's when you will now see a massive tribulation of the saints of God. And those who cannot handle it will probably even die before it comes to their doorsteps. But those who believe and who know, who understand the times, will be prepared psychologically and otherwise. And the Bible didn't say everybody will die. Some will be saved. God will give us wisdom on how to navigate and how to move around and be saved. That this is where we're headed. And you need to be informed. You need to know, you need to learn, you need to prepare yourselves. Not just psychologically, but otherwise. Learn to stock up on food. Learn to live without a lot of pleasure, because there are too many pleasures they are going to take away from you. Learn to manage, like we say in Africa, manage with little. You can even start farming or something. Start trying out things that ordinarily you wouldn't want to try out. Because when you are compelled to do it by force, it might be too difficult for you to handle. But if you start early, you won't feel anything about it. Our world has changed. And I don't think there's anything anyone can do about it. We just have to learn how to live with this. Because the Bible already warned us and told us that we're going to get here, and we're here now. Be prepared. Be warned. They say to be forewarned is to be forearmed. But above all, I pray that God will give us all the grace, as always, to do what is right when the time is right, not when the time is not right. Okay? God bless you.